if the entire industry was making less money, and then you could, I guess, make the argument that, well, we're making less money industry wide. You can't expect the writers to make as much. But when they're making more than ever, and all that money is going to executives at the top of these companies, how can you possibly argue that the writers deserve to make less and have less security in their jobs? So this is an amazing stat here, or this data here. This from the AFL-CIO. They posted this showing why these writers are on strike. So last year, 8 major Hollywood studio CEOs made over $773 million in annual salary. Meanwhile, many of the workers who write their shows can't afford rent. That's why the WGA is ready to go on strike and now are on strike. But like from the Endeavor CEO, Discovery, Disney, another Disney executive, Fox, Netflix, Comcast, the amount of money these people are making while claiming, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't raise your pay, or we can't guarantee these benefits, or ensure that you have, a full-time job," while they're the ones, the writers are the ones that are getting them this money. Come on, it's just completely insane, and it's of course a larger trend. So this from 10 months ago from The Guardian. Wage gap between CEOs and U.S. workers jumped to 670 to 1 last year, a study finds. So report on 300 top U.S. companies found CEOs making an average of 10.6 million, with the median worker getting about 23 or $24,000. So, and by the way, this is one estimate. There are other studies that have the ratio at even a wider gap. So Economic Policy Institute here says CEO pay has skyrocketed 1,460% since 1978. CEOs are paid 399 times as much as the typical worker in 2021. And they got a long breakdown here. Lots of data. I'll link to all my sources always below the video on YouTube in the description box. But you can go through their data. They have a different way of measuring it. So they do the top 350 companies per industry. But regardless, it's increasing every year. CEOs are making more and more money than their typical worker. Meanwhile, the typical workers are the ones that are generating this money for them. A little more on this strike in particular. So this from the LA Times. Although streaming has been a boon for television, it has upended how writers are compensated. Writers say they work longer hours for less pay, and they no longer can rely on a steady stream of residual income they used to get in the days of broadcast TV, when successful shows lived on for years in syndicated reruns or the once lucrative home video market. The median weekly pay for writer-producers declined 23% over the last decade when adjusting for inflation, according to a WGA survey. When accounting for inflation, screenwriter pay declined 14% in the last 5 years. The union has demanded compensation and other improvements, including increases in minimum pay, residuals for streaming, and higher contributions to the WGA health and pension plan. The union said its proposals would have gained the writers $429 million a year, which, is like almost a typical CEO pay at this point. Would just be for the writers. I mean, all the writers versus, one executive. It's absolutely wild. And by the way, I didn't show you how CNN introed this whole segment, which of course, I talk about framing, how media frames these issues. They discuss here how because the writers are on strike, it's going to upend all this television that you enjoy.
As of this morning, more than 11,000 TV and movie writers, they're on strike, halting multiple productions and possibly delaying new seasons of some of your favorite shows.
As opposed to saying the writers are on strike, or the way they should be framing it, CEOs are not paying their workers enough, and the CEOs are the ones upending the production on these TV shows because of their greed. Like that, it's even hard for me sometimes to think about how to properly frame it, because we are so used to hearing that, oh, this strike, these workers are causing this disruption, as opposed to the greed of executives are causing the disruption. It's really, you have to retrain yourself in how to absorb a lot of this information, because of just how corporate media, being what it is, how they have framed all discussions around economic issues for decades. Now, there's a if you want the very specific breakdown, I'm not going to obviously read through this, but these are the negotiations between the union and the corporation. So you can go through what they are proposing and what the current offers are. But a bit more on this from the WGA themselves. The company's behavior has created a gig economy inside a union workforce, and their immovable stance in this negotiation has betrayed a commitment to further devaluing the profession of writing. From their refusal to guarantee any level of weekly employment in episodic television, to the creation of a day rate in comedy variety, to their stonewalling on free work for screenwriters and on AI for all writers, they have closed the door on their labor force and opened the door to writing as an entirely freelance profession. Here is what all writers know. The companies have broken this business. They have taken so much from the very people, the writers, who have made them wealthy. But what they cannot take from us is each other, our solidarity, our mutual commitment to save ourselves and this profession that we love. We had hoped to do this through reasonable conversation. Now we will do it through struggle. For the sake of our present and our future, we have been given no other choice. In solidarity, WGA Negotiating Committee. Really good stuff. So, of course, I stand completely in solidarity with the writers here. They are not only, it is not only the right thing to do to stand with workers, it is just factually accurate to say that the writers are a big part of the reason why why this industry is so successful and why the people at the top are making so much money. To not have the writers benefit in that while the CEOs, their pay keeps increasing, nobody can possibly argue on behalf of the executives here. There is no argument to be made. So I hope the writers get everything they deserve in this.